I plunged the knife into my brother's gut that rainy Tuesday in 23, twisting it just enough to make him gasp but not enough to kill. Yet. The candle on the windowsill sputtered like it knew what was coming. The one flame I'd nursed through 12 years of empty promises and hollow graves. And when the old man's voice cracked through the door like thunder from a clear sky, I realized the devil I'd been chasing had been wearing my family's face all along. The blood pooled on the linoleum of our old farmhouse kitchen in rural Ohio, mixing with the spilled coffee from the pot I'd shattered earlier in a fit of what I thought was grief. Tommy, my little brother, the golden boy, the one who'd always skated free, clutched at his side, his eyes wide with that same bewildered innocence he'd peddled since we were kids. "Jack," he wheezed. "What the fuck? Man, it's me." But it wasn't just him anymore. Not after what I'd pieced together in the dead of those candlelit nights. I yanked the blade free, watching him crumple against the cabinets. His designer jeans, bought with money that wasn't his, staining dark. The knife clattered to the floor. A cheap serrated thing from the dollar store. Nothing like the heirlooms Grandpa used to carve turkeys with back when Thanksgivings meant something. I stepped back, heart hammering like a freight train through the rust belt, and lit another cigarette. The flame from the Zippo danced in the draft from the cracked window, and for a split second, I saw her face in the glow. Mom. Gone too soon. Her eyes pleading like they did the night she swallowed those pills. That was the first betrayal. The one that started it all. Not the big one. The one that would unravel everything when Grandpa blew back into town like a ghost with a bankroll. No. This was the small cut. The kind that festers. Mom had OD'd in 11. Or so the coroner said. Accidental. They ruled it. But I'd found the note, crumpled in her jewelry box. The one she never wore after Dad's business trips turned into full-time cons. Jack. Forgive them. It's not your fault.
Them.
Not him.
Them.
Dad, Richard Harlan, king of the small-time scams, had been running a Ponzi scheme out of the garage, peddling fake investments to desperate farmers and factory workers who'd lost their jobs when the plant shuttered. Mom knew. Tommy knew. Even at 16. Hell, I knew. At 22. Fresh out of community college with a welding cert and dreams of union work in Cleveland. But when the feds came knocking in 09, it was me they dragged out in cuffs. Me who took the fall for the wire fraud, the embezzlement, the whole rotten pie. 5 years in Chillicothe Federal, where the nights stretched like taffy and the candle I imagined burning back home was the only light I let myself believe in. I did it for family, they said. For Mom, who'd cry if Dad went down. For Tommy, who was gonna make something of himself.
Lies.
All of it. Dad walked, cut a deal that painted him as the hapless dupe. Tommy got a slap on the wrist. Community service that he charmed his way out of with a wink and a fake sob story. And me? I came home in 14 to a hero's welcome that lasted about as long as a cheap beer buzz. Dad slapped my back at the prison gate. Tommy hugged me like a long-lost puppy. And Mom. She smiled that brittle smile before locking herself in the bathroom with the Xanax. 2 months later, she was gone. Tommy found her. Or said he did. Dad buried her quick. No service. Just a plot in the county cemetery with a stone that read, "Beloved wife and mother." Beloved.
Yeah. Right.
I kept that candle burning from then on. A votive from the dollar store. Right there on the mantel where Grandpa's old photo used to sit, before Dad accidentally knocked it over during one of his benders. Grandpa Harlan. The war hero. The oil wildcatter who'd struck it small in Pennsylvania back in the 70s. Then vanished in 11. Same year as Mom. A coincidence? Bullshit. I wiped the knife on my jeans, the denim stiff with grease for my night shift at the auto plant. Tommy groaned, trying to sit up, his hand slipping in his own blood. Jack. Listen. You got it wrong. Dad didn't. I kicked his leg out from under him. Not hard. Just enough to remind him who held the cards now. Save it.
Tommy.
I know about the insurance. The 20 mil payout on Grandpa's policy. The one that lapsed right before he disappeared. His eyes flickered. Guilt. Or fear. Hard to tell with Tommy. He'd always been the actor of the family, the one who could cry on cue for the judge. But I dug deep these last few months. After the dreams started. Dreams where Mom whispered from the grave, pointing at shadows that looked like Dad's silhouette. I'd hit the library in town, the one with the ancient computers, and started pulling threads. Grandpa's disappearance wasn't a mystery, it was a cover-up. Filed as presumed dead after a year. No body from the supposed hiking accident in the Smokies. And that policy? Cash in hand for Dad, who used it to buy the McMansion in the suburbs. The one Tommy was crashing at now with his fiancée, some influencer chick from Columbus. I crouched down, grabbing his collar, the metallic tang of blood thick in the air. Rain hammered the roof like accusations. Where is he?
Tommy? Dad.
He's not at the casino tonight. Is he? Not with his poker buddies. Tommy's lips moved, but no sound came. I slapped him.
Light.
The way Dad used to do to us when we disappointed him. Talk. It's not what you think, he finally rasped.
Grandpa.
He left. On his own. The money. The doorbell rang then. A shrill buzz that cut through the storm like a chainsaw. We both froze. Out here in the sticks, 10 miles from the nearest neighbor, visitors meant trouble. Or delivery. But at 2 a.m., I stood, knife in hand, and crept to the door, peering through the peephole. A silhouette, tall and hunched against the downpour, umbrella popping like a gunshot as thunder rolled. I flipped the porch light, the bulb flickering to life, and that's when the world tilted. There, dripping on the welcome mat Mom had embroidered herself, stood Elias Harlan.
Grandpa. Alive.
82 if he was a day, but looking like he'd aged in dog years, face gaunt under the brim of a fedora, suit tailored sharp, a Rolex glinting on his wrist that screamed old money. In his hand, a leather satchel, heavy, like it carried secrets and grudges. Jackie boy, he croaked, voice like gravel under tires. Still burning that damn candle? Open up before I catch my death. I don't remember dropping the knife. Or pulling the door wide. Just the rush of cold air. The scent of wet wool and something sharper, cologne. Expensive. Not the Old Spice he used to splash on Sundays. Tommy's groan from the kitchen snapped me back. Grandpa?
You're dead.
He pushed past me, eyes scanning the room like a hawk spotting a field mouse. Not quite, son. But close enough for those bastards to cash in. His gaze landed on Tommy, curled fetal on the floor.
No shock.
No horror, just a slow nod, like he'd expected the mess. Heard you were still loyal.
Good.
We've got work to do. That night, with Tommy bandaged on the couch and the candle steady as ever, Grandpa unloaded the revelation over black coffee and painkillers. He'd faked the hike, the accident, The whole vanishing act. Not because of Dad's schemes, those were peanuts.
No.
It was bigger. A secret from the war. Something buried in Europe. A fortune in Nazi gold or some such shit he'd smuggled back. Hidden in family trusts that Dad had been chipping away at for years. But the real kicker? Mom hadn't OD'd. She'd been poisoned. Slow. With antifreeze in her tea. Courtesy of Dad, who needed her life insurance to cover his debts. And Tommy? He'd held her down that night, whispering lies to keep her quiet. Why me? I asked, voice cracking like a teenager's. Grandpa's eyes, sharp as ever, locked on mine. Because you're the only one who kept the flame, Jack. The rest? They blew it out. We talked till dawn, the rain easing to a drizzle. Grandpa's satchel spilled photos, documents, yellowed ledgers from 45, bank statements rerouted through Cayman shells. He'd been in hiding, building leverage, waiting for the right moment.
Now,
with cancer gnawing at his lungs, time was short. Revenge, he said, lighting his own cigarette. The smoke curling like ghosts. Not the hot kind. The cold, calculated burn. You in? I looked at Tommy, passed out from blood loss, his chest rising shallow. Dad was next, holed up in his lake house with a bottle and a Glock. The candle flickered, casting long shadows. Yeah, I said. I'm in. But as the first light crept through the blinds, doubt wormed in. Grandpa's eyes held something darker than gratitude, a hunger that mirrored Dad's. What if the old man was playing me too? What if the gold was bait? And the real treasure was my soul on the line? The drive to Dad's lake house was a blur of cornfields and cracked asphalt. Highway 23 stretching like a scar across the flatlands of northwest Ohio. Grandpa rode shotgun in my beat-up F-150, the one I'd rebuilt from scrap after prison, its engine rumbling like a grudge. He chain-smoked Camels, unfiltered, the windows cracked just enough to let the haze mingle with the scent of impending autumn, damp leaves and diesel from the semis barreling past. Tommy stayed back at the farm, stitched up with fishing line and left with a bottle of Jack and a warning. One wrong word.
Boy.
And you're joining your mother. Grandpa hadn't minced words about the plan. It was simple on paper. Confront Dad. Extract a confession on tape. Leverage it for the hidden accounts, the ones Grandpa had squirreled away before vanishing. Now worth north of 50 mil if the markets held. But simple didn't mean clean. Dad was no fool. He'd clawed his way from sharecropper's son to small-town shark, flipping houses during the bubble and crashing them when it burst. Always one step ahead of the repo man. And he had friends, cops, lawyers, the kind who looked the other way for a cut. You sure about this, Jackie? Grandpa asked, flicking ash out the window. His voice had that old authority. The one that made GIs salute in the mud of Normandy. But up close, in the dashlight's glow, he looked frail, skin like parchment, hands trembling on the wheel of his own ghost story. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white, sure as the candle's flame. He killed her. Grandpa. You got proof. He pulled a vial from his coat pocket, small, like eye drops. Label peeled halfway. Ethylene glycol. Antifreeze. Lab results from a contact in Pittsburgh. Traces in her tox screen the coroner missed. Tommy's prints on the mug. Your daddy's the one who bought the case at Walmart the week before. My gut twisted, bile rising sharp. I'd replayed Mom's last days 1,000 times, her headaches. The sweet breath like pears. The way she'd slur my name in the hall. Accidental.
They'd said.
Depression from Dad's stresses.
But now?
It fit like a noose. And the gold? How's that tie in? Grandpa chuckled. A wet rattle that turned into a cough. He waved it off, popping a nitro pill under his tongue. The gold's the why.
Boy.
Back in 45, I liberated a stash from a SS vault near Remagen. Bars.
Pure.
Enough to buy a Senate seat if you knew the right palms. Hid it in Swiss vaults, funneled through oil leases. Your grandma knew, God rest her, but she took it to the grave in 98. Dad found out in 05, started siphoning. By 11, he was desperate. Thought if I died, he could claim it all. Pushed me off that trail. But I rolled, broke my leg bad. Crawled to a ranger station. Then vanished proper, new name, new life in Florida condos. Florida. The word hung there, absurd against the gray sky threatening more rain. Grandpa, the stoic steelworker who taught me to fish the mommy. Sipping my ties with retirees? It humanized him. Made the legend crack. Why not come back sooner? For Mom, his face hardened, eyes on the road. Pride.
Jackie. And fear.
Richard's a snake, turns on his own kind. I watched from afar. Wired money to you through dummies.
Kept the farm in your name.
But when he poisoned her, that was the line. We pulled off at Port Clinton, the lake house looming on a spit of land where Lake Erie slapped against shale cliffs. It was a monstrosity, log cabin on steroids, bought with Mom's death payout, complete with a dock and a pontoon boat Dad never used sober. Lights blazed in the windows. Country rock thumping faint. Hank Jr. Probably Dad's go-to for drowning regrets. I killed the engine a quarter-mile out, gravel crunching under tires. Grandpa handed me a micro-recorder, palm-sized, clipped to my belt. Get him talking. About the will. The policy. Her. I'll cover the door. He patted a bulge under his coat, a .38 snub nose. Army issue. No shooting unless he draws first. We approached on foot. The wind off the lake whipping cold. My boots squelched in mud, heart pounding a rhythm that echoed the waves. Dad's truck was in the drive. A jacked-up Silverado with mud flaps shaped like naked women, classy as ever. I rapped on the door. 3 sharp knocks. It creaked open. And there he was, Richard Harlan, 58 going on 70, belly straining his flannel, eyes bloodshot from the bottle. Jack, the hell you doing here? It's Tuesday. Ain't you got that graveyard shift? I forced a grin, the one I'd practiced in the mirror. Missed you.
Pop.
Brought company. I stepped aside, and Grandpa filled the frame. Dripping resolve. Dad's face went slack, color draining like water down a drain. Elias? Jesus Christ. You're a ghost. He staggered back, hand fumbling for the wall. The living room swam into view, leather couches. Flat screen blaring a Cavs rerun, empty Coors cans littering the coffee table. Not quite risen. Richard, Grandpa said, shutting the door with a click that sounded final. But close enough to settle scores. Dad's eyes darted. To me. To Grandpa. To the kitchen where a half-empty fifth of bourbon sat. Flight or fight. The old dance. He chose bluster. This some kind of joke? You been dead 12 years. Old man. We mourned you, hell. I buried you proper. Grandpa laughed. pulling the recorder from his pocket. No,
Wait.
that was mine. He had his own.
Sly fox.
Mourned? With my insurance? The one you forged the beneficiary on after shoving me off that cliff. Dad's jaw worked, sputtering. Cliff? What cliff? You slipped. Elias. Hikers do it all the time. I searched for weeks. I stepped forward, voice low. Cut the shit. Dad. We know about Mom. The antifreeze. Tommy held her. You poured it.
Why?
That's that bad. His eyes locked on mine. And for a heartbeat, I saw the man who'd taught me to throw a curveball, proud,
Fierce.
Then it crumbled, booze and years eroding the mask. She was gonna rat me out.
Jack. To you?
To the feds. The gold, your grandpa's dirty little secret. She found the ledgers. Said we'd lose everything. I did it quick. Merciful. Pills would have been slower. The room spun. Merciful?
My mom.
The woman who'd pack my lunch with notes saying swing for the fences. Kiddo. Poisoned like a stray dog. I lunged, fist connecting with his jaw, the crack echoing off the beams. He went down, sprawling across the bearskin rug, fake. Thank God. Knowing Dad. Grandpa hauled me back. Grip iron.
Easy.
We need him alive. Dad spat blood, grinning through split lips. Alive? For what? Your fairy tale gold? It's gone. Elias. Gambled. Invested, poof. And that bitch? She had it coming.
Weak.
Always weak. The recorder word, capturing every slur. But as Dad laughed, a manic edge creeping in, I felt the first crack in the plan.
His eyes. Wild.
Held no remorse, just defiance. And Grandpa's hand on my shoulder tightened, not steadying, but possessive. Like I was the tool, not the son. We zip-tied him to a chair. The one by the fireplace where family photos mocked us, me in Little League, Tommy's graduation, Mom's smile frozen in time. Dad ranted as we worked about the farm failing, the banks foreclosing, how Grandpa's legacy was a curse, not a gift. You think you're heroes? You're thieves. All of ya. That gold? Blood money. Nazi filth. I did the world a favor, spending it. Grandpa backhanded him, the slap ringing. Favor? Like killing my daughter. Dad's head lolled, but his grin stayed. Your daughter? She was mine first. Old man. And Jack here's next if you don't wise up. The threat hung, and I paused, tape digging into Dad's wrists. Wise up? To what? The room felt smaller. The lake wind howling accusations. Grandpa nodded to the satchel. Pulled docs, account numbers. Transfers. Sign it over. Richard. The remnants. Or we walk this tape to the sheriff. Dad's laugh bubbled again. Sheriff? My golf buddy? Go ahead. But ask your grandpa about Berlin.
Jack.
Ask why the gold's cursed. I glanced at Elias. His face stone. The candle back home flickered in my mind, steady. But was it truth or illusion? As Dad signed, shaky, I wondered if the revenge was already souring. The betrayal deeper than blood. We left him there at dawn. Trussed like a turkey. The recorder's red light blinking farewell. The drive back was silent. Grandpa dozing, satchel on his lap like a bomb. My mind raced. Nazi gold? Cursed? Dad's lies. Or another layer. By the time the farm came into view, smoke curling from the chimney, I knew one thing. The flame I'd kept burning was about to ignite something I couldn't control. Tommy was waiting, bandaged and twitchy, a shotgun across his lap. "You get him?" he asked, eyes darting to Gramp. "Got enough," I said, helping Elias inside. But as we settled at the table, papers spreading like a poker hand, Tommy's gaze lingered on the old man, not fear, but calculation. Brother against brother, ghost against son. The game was just starting. The kitchen smelled of stale blood and fresh brew, the coffee pot gurgling like a dying man as I poured mugs all around. Tommy shifted in his chair, wincing, the makeshift bandage seeping pink through his shirt. Grandpa sat at the head of the table, the one with the carved initials EH. From 1962, spreading his documents like a war map. Bank statements, wire transfers, a faded photo of a young Elias in GI fatigues, grinning beside a crate stamped with black eagles. Nazi gold. The words echoed in my skull. Dad's parting shot. "All right," I said, sliding a mug to Tommy, who eyed it like poison. "Spill it,
Grandpa."
the whole truth. No more shadows. Elias lit another Camel, the match flaring brief. His cough rattled, but his voice held steady. Midwestern gravel honed by foxholes. "Truth's a slippery bastard."
Jack.
"But you earned it." He tapped the photo. Remagen Bridge. March 45. We crossed it days before it blew, me and a squad from the 9th Armored. Krauts were evacuating. Desperate. Found a bunker under the ruins. Crates of bars. Ingots stamped Reichsbank. Enough to fund a shadow war if Hitler had lived. Tommy snorted. Pain forgotten. Bullshit. You're spinning yarns like Dad's cons. Grandpa's eyes narrowed. The kind of look that silenced bar fights. Yarns? I hauled those crates myself.
Boy.
Buried half in the Ardennes. Shipped the rest stateside through army channels. Souvenirs for brass who looked away. Invested quiet. Oil in Texas. Real estate in Cleveland. By 70, it snowballed. Trusts in your grandma's name. Untouchable. I leaned in, steam from the mug curling. Untouchable till Dad sniffed it out.
How?
"A letter," Grandpa said, pulling a brittle envelope from the satchel. "Mom's handwriting. Looping elegant. She wrote me in 05. Worried. Richard was digging old family Bibles with codes. Safe deposit keys I'd hidden. She begged me to come home. Expose him. I didn't. Thought I could handle it from afar." Tommy grabbed the letter.
Scanning.
"Mom?" She knew, and said nothing. Elias's fist clenched, knuckles popping. "She protected you idiots. Paid his debts from her savings. The house equity.
Till he got greedy.
Faked my death to trigger the life insurance. 5 mil clean. Used it to chase bigger scores. But the gold? He never found the core vault. Swiss. Under aliases. The pieces slotted. Dad's sudden luck in 11. The lake house. Tommy's college fund that vanished into vape shops and parties. My prison stint collateral. A distraction while they cleaned house. And Mom. "The poison," I whispered. To silence her before she talked to me, Grandpa nodded.
Grim. Yes.
And Tommy helped. Held the cup steady while she thrashed. Tommy surged up, chair scraping. "Liar. I was at school." "Sit," I growled, hand on his shoulder, pushing down. He deflated, but his eyes burned. Hate or hurt. You said you found her. But the timeline. You skipped class that day. I remember the call from the principal. He looked away.
Jaw tight.
Dad made me. Said it was medicine for her nerves. I didn't know. Grandpa cut in. Voice whip-sharp. You knew enough to forge the note. Accidental overdose. Your handwriting.
Tommy.
Matched it to your yearbook scrawls. The room went tomb quiet. Save the drip of the faucet. Tommy's face crumpled. Tears tracking clean paths through blood-specked stubble. I was 16. Man.
Scared.
He said we'd go to hell if we didn't stick together. Family. The words soured in my mouth. I'd taken the fall for them. Welded rebar in the joint while they picnicked. Kept the candle for Mom. For Grandpa. For the lie of us.
Now?
It was ash. We hit the banks tomorrow, Grandpa said, folding the letter. I've got proxies, lawyers in Toledo.
Clean.
Signatures from Richard give us leverage. By week's end, the farm's paid off. You're set. But first, he glanced at Tommy. Loose ends. My gut nodded. What ends? Elias's smile didn't reach his eyes. Your brother. Can't trust a rat not to bite. Tommy bolted. Chair toppling. Lunging for the door. I tackled him mid-stride. The two of us crashing into the wall. Pictures rattling.
Stop, Grandpa.
No. He stood slow. .38 in hand. Steady despite the tremble. He killed her.
Jack.
As much as Richard. It's not that simple. I pinned Tommy. His breath's ragged against my ear.
He's blood.
We fix this legal. Legal? Grandpa barked a laugh. Like your trial? 5 years for their sins. The gun trained on Tommy's temple. Inching closer. Thunder rolled distant. Rain pattering restart. The candle on the mantel. I'd lit it fresh that morning. Guttered. Wax pooling like tears. Tommy whimpered. Jack.
Please.
I was a kid.
Kid.
The word hung. And I flashed to '09. Me in orange. Him waving at visits with fake cheer. Betrayal stacked on betrayal. But killing? That crossed the line I'd towed all my life. Do it, Grandpa urged. Or I will. The choice burned, side with the ghost who'd returned. Or the brother who'd broken me. I released Tommy. Rolling off. Chest heaving.
No.
We turn him in. Clean. Grandpa's face twisted disappointment. Or calculation. He holstered the gun.
Slow. Soft.
Like your mother.
Fine.
But if he squeals. Tommy scrambled up. Backing to the hall. I won't. Swear. We didn't sleep that night. I chained the doors. Shotgun by the bed. Dreams plagued by Mom's ghost. Antifreeze breath sweet and accusatory. Grandpa paced the porch. Phone glued to his ear. Lawyers. Brokers. Whispers of the vault. Tommy curled in the basement.
Door barred.
Dawn broke gray. And we piled into the truck, me driving. Grandpa navigating to the First National in Sandusky. Tommy stayed behind, guarding the farm under Grandpa's glare. The bank was a squat brick fortress. Tellers in vests eyeing us like hobos. Grandpa flashed credentials, fake ID crisp as new bills, and we were ushered to a private room. Safe deposit boxes yawning open. Inside, ledgers. Deeds. A single gold bar. heavy as sin, stamped with swastikas faded but unmistakable. Seed money, Grandpa murmured, pocketing a chit. The rest's digital now. 48 mil. Give or take. My hands shook as I signed, power of attorney from Dad's coerce script. It felt like theft. Or justice. Hard to tell. As we loaded the truck, a black SUV pulled up, sleek, out of place. Two suits emerged, Italian leather shoes splashing puddles. Mr. Harlan, the taller one called, smile all teeth. Elias? Long time. Grandpa froze. Color draining. Vito. What the hell? Vito, fedora. Pinky ring. Accent pure Jersey. Family business. Old timer. The commission's been asking about that gold since the war. Thought you were worm food. My blood iced. Commission mafia? Grandpa's secret wasn't just Nazi, it was mob-tied? He stammered. It's clean. Invested legit. Vito chuckled, hands slipping inside his coat. Clean? Says the guy who fenced it through our uncles in Palermo. Dad, Richard, owes us. Big. That lake house. Collateral. And now you waltz in. Stirring pots. I stepped forward, hand in pocket on my folder knife. Back off. This is Harlan business. Vito's eyes slid to me, amused. Harlan, the felon's son? Cute. His partner Drew, a silenced Beretta, casual as a wallet. Time slowed. Grandpa shoved me aside. .38 barking twice, center mass on the shooter, who crumpled wet. Vito fired wild, bullet wanging the truck fender. I lunged, tackling him into the mud, knife plunging instinctive into his thigh. He howled, punching wild. Grandpa finished it, shot to the head, execution style. Blood-sprayed arc, mixing rain. Drive, he yelled, piling in. Tires spun gravel as we fled, sirens wailing distant. My hands slicked the wheel, Vito's blood warm on my jeans. Who the fuck were they? Grandpa?
Mob.
He reloaded, calm as Sunday Mass. Old debts. Your great-uncle ran hooch with Capone's crew. The gold-greased palms. Richard knew, tried to cut them out. Betrayal layered. Dad not just killer, but debtor to wise guys. And Grandpa? Enabler. The candle's flame mocked me, had I kept it for light, or to hide the dark. Back at the farm, Tommy waited, eyes wide at our disheveled return. What happened? Trouble, I said, barricading the door. Sirens grew, choppers thumping skyward. The revelation wasn't gold, it was rot, spreading. That night, as state troopers circled, Grandpa plotted escape, private jet from Toledo. New IDs. Come with me,
Jack.
Leave this mess. Tommy pleaded too. Tears fresh. We're all we've got. Choice again. Run with the devil I knew. Or burn with the family I'd avenge. The candle dimmed. Wax low. I blew it out for the first time in years. The farmhouse creaked under the assault of wind and worry. Windows rattling like bones in a grave as the sun dipped bloody behind the silos. Troopers had set up a perimeter 2 miles out, blue lights pulsing faint through the mist. Bullhorns crackling with demands to come out peaceful. Tommy paced the living room, shotgun clutched white-knuckled, sweat beading on his brow despite the chill. Grandpa sat at the kitchen table, satchel open, counting stacks of cash, 10s and 20s. Emergency fund from God knows where. I doused the candle. Its smoke a thin ghost curling ceilingward, but the darkness it left felt heavier, like truth uncoiling. They're not playing, Elias, I said, peeking through curtains at the floodlights creeping closer. Vito's crew? Feds'll love that. And the bodies. Handled. Grandpa cut in, voice steady as he thumbed shells into his revolver. My contacts en route. Chopper from Cleveland. Ex-Army bird. Lands in the back 40 at midnight. We bug out.
Scatter to Canada.
New lives. Tommy spun. Eyes wild. We? What about me?
Jack.
Tell him. Tell him what? I snapped, turning from the window. My reflection stared back, scarred cheek from a bar fight in 16. Eyes hollow from too many shifts. That you're clean? You poison mom.
Tommy.
Held her while she choked. It wasn't he choked on the lie. Shotgun dipping. Dad said it was syrup.
For her cough.
I swear.
I didn't taste it.
Grandpa snorted, not looking up.
Syrup. Right.
And I'm the Easter Bunny. Sit down.
Boy.
You're coming for now. Leverage? If nothing else. Leverage. The word slithered.
Cold.
Tommy slumped onto the couch. Weapon across knees. The same floral print Mom had reupholstered after Dad's cigar burns. Family photos lined the mantel, faded Polaroids of us at Cedar Point. Cotton candy grins. Before the scheme soured. I picked one up, thumb smudging the glass, me. 10. Arm around Tommy. 5. Dad behind with a beer. Mom's smile radiant.
Lies.
All framed pretty. Why Canada? I asked, setting the photo down gentle. The gold, it's here. Stateside. We fight. Grandpa's laugh wheezed. Fight? With what? Your welding torch? Richard's tape is gold, literally, but the mob knows now. Vito's boss. Frankie nails. He don't forget. And the feds? They'll bury us under RICO. War crimes chaser on the gold. War crimes. Nazi bars funding American dreams, mine included. The farm's deed stamped with blood money. I paced to the kitchen, grabbing a beer from the fridge. The pop tab loud in the hush. You profited from murder. All of you. Mom died for it. Elias's eyes met mine, unblinking. We all got dirt.
Jack.
I killed Jerry's fare. Liberated what I could. Your dad twisted it.
Poisoned the well. But you?
You're clean. That's why you kept the candle. Hope. Not hate. Hope. The word stung. Absurd now. I'd lit it for Mom's ghost. Grandpa's memory. The myth of us. Blown out. And what remained? A house of cards in a hurricane. Headlights swept the drive, not chopper. Too low. A county cruiser. Lone deputy. Megaphone blaring. Harlan, we know you're in there. Richard's talking, says it's a family dispute. Come out. Hands high. Dad. Singing already. The rat. Tommy bolted up. He ratted? That fucker. Grandpa stood. Revolver tucked. Expected. He's buying time. Hoping Frankie gets to us first. He nodded to the basement stairs. Stash the gear.
Tommy.
Jack. Cover the back. We moved like soldiers, me shotgun to the rear door. Tommy hauling the satchel down to the root cellar amid jars of Mom's peach preserves. Dusty now. The chopper's thump grew. Distant but insistent. Slicing night. My mind raced, run, and I'm accessory to murder. Vito's blood on my blade.
Stay.
And it's a siege. Tommy's head potentially on a platter. A shot cracked outside. Warning. Or eager trigger. Glass shattered in the living room. Deputy yelling. Tommy screamed from below.
Jack.
They're coming. No time. I fired blind through the door. Buckshot splintering wood. Buying seconds. Grandpa returned fire from the front. Muzzle flash strobing. Flank M, he bellowed. We did, me crashing out the back. Circling the barn in darkness. Heart slamming. The deputy was young. Green Billy from high school, who dated my cousin. He spun at my crunch of leaves. Flashlight blinding. Jack, don't. I clubbed the barrel down, wrenching his Glock free. He swung, fist glancing my jaw, but I drove knee to gut, dropping him wheezing. Zip ties from the truck, ironic. Dad's leftovers, bound him to a fence post. Sorry.
Billy.
Family first. Back inside. Chaos. Tommy barricaded in the kitchen. Firing potshots. Grandpa winged in the shoulder. Blood-soaking flannel. Choppers 2 mics, he grunted,
Pressing a rag to the wound.
Sirens swelled. More units rolling. Dad's voice crackled over the bullhorn now. Borrowed. Jackie. It's over. Let him go.
Son.
We talk this out.
Talk.
Like '09. When talk meant perjury. Rage boiled. And I grabbed the recorder from my pocket. Dad's confession.
Tinny but damning.
I hit play. Cranking volume. Hurling it out the shattered window like a grenade. Mom's name. Antifreeze slurred. Tommy's complicity. Blasting for all to hear. Shouts erupted. Deputies scrambling. What the hell? Murder? Dad's megaphone went silent. Checkmate. The chopper touched down hard in the stubble field. Rotors whipping mud. A shadow in black tactical gear rappelling down. Grandpa's contact. X-Delta with a scar like mine. Harlan's. Move. We hauled ass, me dragging Grandpa. Tommy lugging the satchel. Bullets pinged the fuselage as we boarded. The bird lifting vertical. Lake shrinking below. Troopers fired wild. But we were ghosts already. Banking north over Erie. In the cabin. Med kit out. I stitched Grandpa's wound. Prison hacks. Steady hand. Tommy retched in the corner. Green-faced. We're fugitives now. For real. Grandpa winced as needle bit. Better than dead. Frank'll clean up the bank mess, his boys. His boys.
Mob.
The revelation deepened. Grandpa wasn't victim. He was player. Debts generational. You set this up, I accused. Thread pulling taut. Vito at the bank bait. Elias's grin ghosted. Insurance. Needed heat to force Richard's hand. Now the feds chase shadows. Weary build. Rebuild. On lies. Tommy looked up. Eyes hollow. What about Dad? They got him. Good, Grandpa said. He rots. But as the border lights twinkled, Windsor spires, I felt the twist. Dad's last words, ask about Berlin. What curse? What if Grandpa's gold wasn't liberation, but atrocity? Villages burned for bars? The chopper set down in a hayfield outside London. Ontario, ironic. British soil for American sins. A safe house waited, cabin in the pines. Stocked with IDs.
Cash.
A new candle on the mantel. Unlit. We hold up. News blaring. Ohio family feud turns deadly. Dad arrested for murder 1. Mob ties surfacing. Tommy cracked first.
2 days in.
Booze from the cabinet. Then the shotgun barrel in his mouth. I can't.
Jack.
Mom haunts me. I wrestled it away. But the damage stuck, his eyes dead, like Mom's last stare. Grandpa watched.
Detached.
Weak link. That night. Alone by the window. I lit the candle. Flame steady. But the reflection? A killer's face.
Mine.
Revenge tasted like ash. And the real betrayal? The man who'd returned wasn't savior. He was the architect. The Canadian cabin smelled of pine sap and regret. Walls paneled knotty like veins under skin. The single bulb swinging lazy from a chain. Days blurred into a tense routine. Grandpa on the satchel phone. Barking codes to brokers. Wire the Cayman drop. Double the vig, while Tommy and I chopped wood. The axe bite echoing our fractured silence. News from south of the line trickled via VPN streams. Dad in Cuyahoga County lockup. Spilling guts to prosecutors about stolen valor and war loot. No mention of us yet. Chopper dust-up blamed on mob hit gone wrong. But the noose tightened. Headlines screaming, Harlan Horde. Nazi gold scandal rocks Rust Belt. I kept the candle burning. A stub now. Placed on the rough-hewn table where we ate. Canned beans and jerky. Washed down with rye that burned less than the questions. Tommy stared into it most nights. Mesmerized. Whispering apologies to shadows. She forgives me.
Right?
Mom, I'd nod. Lie easy. Yeah.
Kid.
She does. But inside, the rot spread. Grandpa's revelation had peeled layers. Each uglier. The gold wasn't just fenced, it funded hits. Post-war. Elias ran collections for the commission, shakedowns on Italian grocers in Philly. A union boss floated in the schuylkill. Necessary, he'd grunt when pressed. To launder clean.
Clean.
The word mocked as I split logs at dawn. Frost crunching under boots. Breath fogging like ghosts. Tommy joined sometimes. Axe swings wild. Missing the block. Why'd you save me? Jack. Back there. Coulda let him. Because you're all I got left. The thought stuck. Unspoken. Prison had taught solitude. But family? It was the chain I couldn't break. Blood, I said finally. Would thunking satisfying. Thick as the sap. He paused. Sweat beading despite the cold. Even after. Her, I drove the axe home. Splinters flying. Especially after. Grandpa interrupted. Limping out in long johns. Cough hacking wet.
Poetic.
But blood buys nothing up here. We move tomorrow, Toronto. Then Vancouver. New names. You're John Elias. Import-export. Tommy's your nephew. College kid. Nephew. The demotion stung. But I swallowed it. And you, his grin crooked.
Ghost.
Always was. He tossed me a passport. Crisp. Photo me in a suit I'd never owned. Harlan died in the chopper. Per the script. That night. Storm raging, howling winds off Huron. I confronted him by the fire. Embers popping like gunfire. Tommy snored upstairs. Doped on codeine from the med kit.
Berlin. Grandpa.
Dad's curse. What happened? Elias poked the logs. Sparks rising. Long pause. Then, Remagen wasn't clean. Bunker had more than gold, docs. Experiments. Mengel shit. Ledgers on Jews.
Tests.
I burned most, but kept a manifest. Leverage? If the Israelis came knocking. My stomach turned. You profited off that? Holocaust records. Survival, he snapped. Eyes flashing old fire. War's gray.
Jack.
I got home. Built this. Gesture sweeping. Us. The cabin. The invisible millions. Your dad found the manifest in '08. Tried blackmailing me. I vanished to protect it. From him. From everyone.
Protect.
Or hoard. The candle flickered. Wax dripping tears. And Mom? You knew he was poisoning her. I suspected.
Quiet.
Then, too late to stop it. Too late. For her.
For me.
I stood. Chair scraping. You're no better. All of you thieves. Killers. He grabbed my wrist. Grip vice. Then, why the candle? Why not walk? I yanked free. Storm outside mirroring inside.
Hope.
Stupid hope. Midnight brought the call. Burner to burner. Grandpa's face ashen as he listened. Then, Frankie's calling due. The gold's theirs half.
Now.
Or, he outs the manifest to the press. Out us. Nazis.
Mob.
Murder, headlines for eternity. Tommy stirred upstairs. Footsteps creaking.
Who?
Devil, Grandpa muttered. Pack. We pay. Toronto dawned slick. Cityscape gleaming alien, CN tower piercing clouds like a spike. We checked into a nondescript motel off the 401. Neon buzzing vacancy like a taunt. Grandpa met Frankie's envoy in a Tim Hortons. Me watching from the truck. Binoculars fogging breath. Handshake. Briefcase exchange. Our cut halved. Satchel lighter. Back. Tommy rifled it. Eyes gleaming greedy. Still mill lions. Right? Grandpa backhanded him.
Casual.
Earn your keep.
Boy.
Scout the docks. Import gig starts tomorrow. Tommy slunk off. Bruised cheek blooming. I cornered Elias in the bathroom. Steam from his shower fogging mirror. Using him. Like Dad used me. Teaching, he corrected. Toweling gray hair. Survival's school hard. But that night, Tommy didn't return. Call went to voicemail. Jack. It's a setup. Frankie's boys grabbed me. Want the manifest or I'm fish food?
Panic surged.
Grandpa cursed. Pacing. Knew it. Frankie don't trust paper. We traced the phone. Burner ping in Hamilton. Industrial waste of factories shuttered like Ohio ghosts. Drove hard. Rain sheeting. Wipers slapping fury. The meat. Abandoned steel mill. Rusted skeletons looming. Inside. Echoes amplified, drips. Distant horns. Flashlights cut beams. Tommy zip-tied to a beam. Gag bloodied. Two goons flanking, tattoos snaking necks. Eyes dead. Harlan, the bigger one growled. Sawed-off in hand. Frankie says hi. Manifest. Or kid swims in the bay. Grandpa tossed the folder, pages yellow. Names in faded ink.
Take it.
We're square. The goon snatched. Flipping. Laughter barked. Square? This is copy. Original's gold. Worth more to hunters. Hunters. Mossad? Feds? My blood chilled. Grandpa had duped them. With fakes? The goon nodded to his partner, who pressed the sawed-off to Tommy's temple. Bluff called. Old man. Time fractured. I charged, low and feral, tackling the gunman, shot booming wild, grazing my arm hot. We rolled, concrete grinding skin, his knee driving gut. Grandpa fired, dropping the big one, but the second goon, knife out, slashed Elias across the throat, arterial spray painting rust red. No, Tommy screamed as gag slipped. I wrested the sawed off, blasting point blank, goon's chest blooming crimson. He crumpled, but Grandpa staggered, hands clutching neck, blood bubbling gurgles. Jack. The real. Vault code. Forgive. He collapsed, eyes glazing lake blue. Tommy freed himself, rushing to him. Grandpa? Elias. But he was gone. Candle unlit in death. Sirens wailed distant mill security. Or worse. We dragged the bodies to the furnace pit, flames devouring evidence, acrid smoke choking. The manifest, real one, from Grandpa's boot, burned last, ashes to wind. We fled to the truck, arm throbbing, Tommy driving manic. What now? Feds'll split, I said, bandaging crude. You to Vancouver. Me south. The gold's yours, half. Live clean. He glanced. Tears mixing rain. After this? Can't. You must. For Mom. For the flame I'd relight alone. At the border, we hugged awkward, brothers. Killers. He vanished into night, truck taillights fading.
Me?
I crossed back, ghosting through Detroit shadows. New ID burning pocket. Revenge?
Pyrrhic.
Dad rots. Frankie hunts phantoms.
But me?
Haunted. The curse wasn't gold, it was blood, calling us all to drown. Detroit's underbelly swallowed me whole. A concrete jungle of boarded windows and flickering sodium lamps, where the Detroit River slithered like a vein pumping rust to the lake. I holed up in a flop on Gresham Avenue. Cash from the satchel buying a week, greasy takeout. Burner phone. A fresh candle from a bodega. Its flame my only constant in the murk. Arm-stitched black market in an alley clinic. Infection brewing, hot under the wrap. But pain kept me sharp. News cycled endless. Ohio shootout linked to World War II loot, Dad's mugshot leering. No mention of Canadian ghosts.
Tommy? Silent.
Vancouver a dream.
Or grave. Nights.
I wandered the cast corridor. Ghosts of Motown legends brushing past, homeless vets with eyes like Grandpa's. Hollowed by wars not their own. The goal haunted too, my half. Wired to a Cayman drop per Elias's last rasp, 7, Alpha Zulu, 1945. I'd access to day 3. Laptop in a public library. Numbers blooming obscene. 24 mil. Give or take fees. Enough to vanish. Or fight. Fight what? The betrayal gnawed deeper. Dad's words echoing. Cursed. I'd scoured the manifest ashes in my mind. Names. Camps. Experiments. Grandpa hadn't just fenced. He'd silenced witnesses. A Yiddish trader in Brooklyn. 52. Drowned for asking questions. The union boss? Not rival. But keeper of ledgers Grandpa wanted buried. I lit the candle in the flop's window, watching it gutter against the pane. Reflection warped. Mom appeared there sometimes. Not accusatory, but sad.
Why?
Jack. For them.
For you.
The lie I'd lived. Prison had been my penance. But this? Fugitive. Complicit in 3 murders veto. Goons. Blood on ledger blacker than gold. A knock shattered reverie sharp.
3 raps.
Heart slamming. I grabbed the .38. Grandpa's heirloom. Oiled nightly. Door cracked. Her. Lena. From the clinic, Filipina nurse with tattooed knuckles and a smile that cut sharper than scalpels. Payment due, she said, leaning in. Cigarette dangling. Or I call it in. I pulled her inside. Cash slapped her palm. 100 for stitches. 50 tip. She pocketed it, eyeing the candle. Catholic? Or crazy? Both. I offered rye from a flask. Her laugh throaty as she accepted. Lena stayed that night. Not for money, though she took more, but for the warmth. Body heat against fever. Stories traded like contraband. She'd fled Manila gangs. Stitched bullet holes in yars from Dearborn to Hamtramck. America's dream, she mocked, tracing my scar. Wounds for all. We fucked slow. Desperate. Her nails raking back like accusations. After. Tangled sheets. She whispered. You're running. From what? Family. The word cracked. And it spilled Ohio farm. Poison tea. Nazi bars. She listened. No judgment. Just nods. Revenge, she asked. Dawn light slanting. Mine was a bullet to my brother's knee. He sold me out to coyotes. Felt good. Till the empty. Empty. Like the candle's wax. Pooling low. Yours work? She shrugged. Dressing. Till it didn't. Call if fever spikes. She left her number. But I burned it, loose ends kill. Instead, I hit the wire. 20 mil transferred stateside. Anonymous LLC shell. Bought a burner laptop. Dubbed digital Frankie Nails. Real name Francesco DeLuca. Pinched in 24 for racketeering. Out on bail. Hunting Harlan ghosts. Dad's trial loomed. November court date in Cleveland. Televised. Sharks circling. I drove south. Rental Chevy anonymous. Border cross clean with John's papers. Ohio felt alien. Billboards for rusting malls. Semis hauling what jobs remained. The lake house sold. Per listings fire sale. Blood money laundered. Cleveland's Justice Center squatted like a bunker. Media swarm buzzing. I blended. Hoodie. Fake beard from a pharmacy. Seat in the gallery back row. Dad entered. Chains rattling. Thinner. Eyes darting. No family section. Tommy vanished. Me myth. Prosecutor laid it bare. Antifreeze traces. Tommy's prints, fugitive warrant issued. Insurance fraud. Then the twist, war crimes angle. Manifest fragments leaked, Frankie's leak. Dad's lawyer spun. Duress. Elias Harlan's syndicate forced my client. Syndicate. Grandpa's legacy. Painted cartel. Dad testified. Voice quaver. He came back. Jack did. With the old man. Force the tape. Mob ties, gold from hell. Hell. Jurors shifted. Faces twisting, sympathy, revulsion. I gripped the bench. Knuckles creaking. When they wheeled in the gold bar Exhibit A. From the bank, gasps rippled. Stamped eagle. Weight of history. Cross-exam. Dad broke gaze with gallery. Locking on me? No, empty air. My boy took the fall once. Loyal. But Elias. He cursed us. Berlin experiments. Kids in cages. I had to stop it. Kids. Mengel. The curse clarified. Grandpa hadn't burned all. He'd sold data to pharma firms post-war. Advances in genetics. Profit from horror. Dad's poison? Twisted justice. Silencing the enabler. Court adjourned. Mistrial whispers. I slipped out. Nausea churning. Drive back to Detroit blurred. Rain relentless. Flop waiting. Candle relit, flame mocking. Lena knocked again. Uninvited. Fever? No, instinct. She saw my face.
Pulled me down. Tell.
I did. Full trial. Curse. She held me after.
Fierce.
End it. Confront the ghost.
Ghost.
Dad? Frankie? No, the source. The farm. Mom's grave. Next dawn, I drove east. Lena's shotgun. Her .22 tucked glove box.
Back up, she said.
Filipino style. The farm loomed derelict, foreclosed. Windows boarded. But candle spot empty. Cemetery next. Gravel crunching. Mom's stone, beloved. I knelt. Weeding overgrown. Dirt under nails. Footsteps, not Lena. Frankie nails himself. Flanked by two, suits crisp. Despite the mud. John Elias. Or Jack Harlan. We talk. Lena tense beside. Hand in purse. Walk away.
Paisano.
Frankie chuckled. Gold tooth flashing. Feisty. But the manifest, real one's ash. But copies float. Your gramps owed my pops. Pay up. Or your exhibit B.
Pay.
The LLC. Mill Lions. But no, revenge's end. Take it.
All.
But Dad walks. He eyed me.
Calculating.
Family?
Ah.
Soft like him. Nod to goons.
Done.
Briefcase exchanged codes. Access. Frankie paused. Lighting a stogie. Curse? Your old man's shame. Berlin, he didn't liberate, he bartered. Kids for bars. My uncle died in that camp. Bartered. The final heir.
Grandpa.
Monster. Frankie left. Shadows retreating. Lena squeezed my hand. Free?
No.
But lighter. We drove to the lake house. Empty now.
Echoey.
I lit the last candle on the dock. Waves lapping confession. Dad called that night. Burner to mine.
How?
Jack?
Saw you. Court. Yeah.
Pause heavy. The curse. True.
Sigh. Broken. Yeah.
He told me. 05. Wanted me to run it. I refused. Poison to shut her. But him? Gold was blood.
Blood. Ours.
Trial.
Plea.
Life. You. Ghost. I hung up. Candle snuffed. Dawn broke clean. No flame needed. Lena slept beside. Future tentative. But twist lingered. Tommy's text. Hours later. Vancouver.
Clean.
But Frankie's lying. Manifest copy with hunters. They're coming for you. Hunters. The debate. Run again? Or stand? Claim the curse. And the chain? I chose stand. For Mom. For the boy who kept the candle. Waves crashed against the dock like accusations unpaid. The candle's wick blackened, stub bobbing in a mason jar of lake water. Its death a quiet surrender. Lena stirred beside me in the empty house. her breathing steady rhythm to the storm's fade. But sleep evaded, Tommy's text burned in my pocket. Screen glow accusing. Hunters. Not cops. Not mob, the shadows Grandpa bartered with. Descendants of ghosts in those ledgers. Israelis? Survivors? The manifest's echo. Copies floating like oil slicks. Threatening to drown us all. I slipped out at first light. Lena's .22 too heavy in my jacket. Driving the rental south to Toledo, neutral ground. Whispers of old contacts. Cities sprawled indifferent. Factories belching steam over the mommy. Bridges arched like nooses. Coffee at a diner. Eggs congealing as I scan dark web forums. Burner laptop hot on knees. Threads in Hebrew. English fractured. Harlan Vault, Remagen Air. Mental files. Justice now. Justice. The word, twisted. Controversial as Dad's plea. Now national fodder. Pundits on Fox and MSNBC dueling. Patriot or profiteer? Grandpa's photo circulated. Young GI hero morphed villain. Dad's interview leaked. He made me. Poison was mercy for the family, for the dead kids.
Kids.
The curse crystallized. Berlin 44. Grandpa's squad overrun a satellite camp. Not liberation. Auction. SS officer. Cornered. Bartered. Gold for files. Lives for silence. But Elias took both. Bars crated. Children relocated to pharma labs stateside. Research for Cold War edge. Names in the manifest. Rachel. 8. Levi. 6. Sold for science. My stomach roiled. Coffee sour. I'd profited. Mill lines wired. LLC humming. Revenge on Dad? Hollow. The real foe? Legacy. Lena texted. Where? Hunter's real. Real, I replied. Meet at the farm, full circle. Drive back, twisted gut. State troopers patrolled 23. Eyes sharp for ghosts. Farm gate sagged. Weeds choking drive. House boarded like a tomb. Lena waited on the porch. Duffel at feet, clothes. Meds. Her life packed light. Plan. Wait.
For them.
The hunters. We fortified. Boards pried for sightlines. Shotguns oiled. Candle relit on the mantle, symbol. Or bait. Days stretched taut. Canned goods dwindling. Radio crackling updates. Dad's sentenced life. No parole. Frankie Nails indicted. Manifest his noose. Tommy silent. Vancouver blackout. Or worse. Night 3. They came not army. But precise. Black SUV. Plates Ontario. 3 figures emerging moonpale. Man lead 50s. Lean. Yarmulke shadowed. Woman flank. Athletic. Scar bisecting lip. 3rd. Young tech. Drone humming soft. I stepped out. Hands raised. Lena covering from door. Harlan. The man Avram. He said, nodded. Accent Israeli crisp. Jack. We know your flame. Elias's grandson.
Flame.
The candle. Or sins.
What you want.
Gold's gone, mob. Feds. Avram's eyes. Dark pools. Not gold.
Truth.
The manifest full. Names.
Labs.
Rachel was my aunt. 6. Your grandfather's bargain fed her to needles. Needles. Visions, child screams. Bars gleaming.
I swallowed dry.
Burned.
All.
Liar. Woman. Tell. Drew a drive. Tiny lethal. Copy from DeLuca. Partial. You have access vault codes.
Give.
Or we take.
Take. Me?
The farm? Lena tensed.
.22 peeking.
Back off. Young one, Eli, a launch drone. Buzzing treetops.
Scanning. Thermals clear.
No traps. Avram stepped closer. No weapon. Faith and justice? Elias bartered with devils. Sold innocence for fortune. Your father poisoned to silence. You, keeper of flame. End it.
End.
The debate raged internal, hand over codes. Drain the LLC, justice for Rachel.
Levi.
Or fight. Preserve the blood money. Curse unbroken. Controversial, hero or enabler. Lena whispered.
Give.
For her.
Mom.
Implied. I nodded.
Slow.
Inside. We sat at the table. Candles central. Flame dancing faces. I typed codes, 7 Alpha Zulu. Laptop whirring. Files dumping. Full manifest. Scans. Bank trails. Avram watched. Face granite cracking grief. As names scrolled. Rachel Bat-Miriam, he murmured. Vivisected 47. For what? Vaccines. Guilt crushed. Air thick. I'm sorry. Elias. He was monster. Tal snorted. All men are.
But you?
Choice now.
Choice.
Drain it all.
Or twist.
Grandpa's last rasp. Forgive. But forgive who? Drone outside buzzed urgent, Eli's voice. Vehicles. Local PD tip? Feds? Mob? No, Tommy's truck. Barreling drive. Headlights wild. He piled out. Frantic. Duffel slung.
Jack.
Vancouver's hot. Frankie's remnant grabbed me. Said hunters coming. Offered deal. Me for you.
Deal.
Betrayal fresh, Tommy. Pawn again? Or player? Avram stood. Drive pocketed. Time. Gunfire erupted, not ours. SUV riddled. Goons spilling, Frankie's last dogs. Desperate for leverage. Chaos. Tal returning fire. Precise. Eli drone crashing a shooter. Lena blasting from window. .22 popping. I grabbed shotgun. Covering Tommy as he dove porch. You led them? Swear. No. But his eyes calculation. Like Dad's. Avram winged. Blood blooming shirt. Go. Files safe. We retreated me. Lena. Tommy hauling to truck amid lead hail. Avram's team fell back. SUV peeling gravel. Frankie's men pursued. But we lost them in corn maze. Night swallowing. Back road to nowhere. Tommy driving. Lena patching my graze. Files gone. Curse lifted?
No.
Avram had truth. Frankie.
Scraps.
But Tommy's glance rearview. Guilt?
Greed?
Dawn at a motel. Ohio-Indiana line. I confronted him.
Candle jar between. Truth. Bro.
The deal. What did they offer? He cracked. Tears hot. Immunity. Testify against you, Elias's heir. But I couldn't.
Couldn't.
Or wouldn't. Lena watched. Neutral. Phone buzzed unknown. Avram. Files received. Rachel rests. But your brother. He called us. Bait.
Bait.
Tommy's face ashen.
No.
Betrayal pinnacle, not Dad.
Grandpa.
But blood. Flipping for freedom. Rage boiled. .22 rising instinctive. Lena grabbed my arm. Don't. He's kid.
Kid.
But not. I lowered,
Shaking. Out. Now.
Tommy begged, but truck keys tossed. He walked into dawn alone. Lena and I drove west. Flame jar on dash. Happy, she asked. No, by tragic.
Curse broken.
But chains? Forged new. Twist landed, months later. Vancouver News, Tommy found, manifest in hand, sold to tabloids. Harlan Air exposes all. He vanished rich. Infamous.
Me?
Lena and I in Seattle. Import shop front, coffee.
Rugs.
No gold. No flame. But nights. I wonder, right or wrong, justice. Or just another con. Readers pick sides, heroes end. Or villains echo. Seattle's rain sheeted eternal. A gray veil over Puget Sound where ferries cut wakes like knives through fog. The city a sprawl of glass and grit that swallowed secrets better than Ohio corn. Lena and I settled in a walk-up in Capitol Hill, second floor. View of the needle-piercing clouds. Rent paid cash from the LLC's remnants after Avram's drain left scraps. Enough for the shop. A used Prius. No luxuries but peace. Fragile as the candle I'd retired to a drawer. Its glass jar dusted like forgotten vows. Import-export legit now. Persian rugs from her contacts. Coffee beans from Colombian ghosts. But the undercurrent hummed. News feeds monitored on a second-hand laptop. Tommy's shadow lengthening. Months blurred. Shop open modest. Siling imports. Bell tinkling over sales to hipsters in flannel. Lena charming with broken English and espresso shots. Nights. We walked the market. Stalls hawking geoduck and tulips. Her hand in mine a tether. Sex was anchor, fierce. Reclaiming.
Her scars mapping mine.
No more running, she'd murmur post-climax. Breath hot on neck. Build.
Build.
The word tempted, but doubt festered. Dad's appeal denied. Rotting in Supermax, Frankie nails flipped for witness protection. Singing on everyone but ghosts. Avram's team vanished. Justice served quiet. Memorials in Tel Aviv for Rachel's ilk. But Tommy, the tabloid king. His expose, a bestseller ghosted by hacks. Harlan's Gold, from Nazis to now. Bestseller? Bullshit. Self-published screed. Him on podcasts from Vancouver Dives. Spinning victim. Jack force me. Elias's curse.
Curse.
He milked it. Residuals funding hookers and heroin. Per whispers. I watched streams incognito. His face gaunt. Eyes feral. Dad's mirror. Once. He called. Burner trace to a payphone in Gastown.
Bro.
Forgive?
Like you said.
Forgive. Static crackled. You sold us. For ink. Survival. Echo of Grandpa. Come north. Share. I hung. Block. Lena found me on the fire escape. Rain beating lashes. End it.
End.
The debate eternal. Confront.
Kill.
Or let rot. Controversial. Brothers' right to profit from pain? Or mine to silence. Summer broke humid. Tourists flooding Pike Place. Shop thrived, but a package arrived, no sender. Brown wrap. The candle jar. Refilled wick. Note scrawled. Flame calls. T. Tommy.
Bait again?
I lit it that night. Flame steady on the windowsill. Casting shadows that danced like accusations. Lena watched. Wary. Burn it.
No.
Hope. Stupid persistent. Dawn brought them, not hunters. Mob remnants. 2 heavies and a Crown Vic. Idling curbside. I spotted from the shop. Fell silent as I locked up. Lena upstairs. .22 ready. They approached casual leather jackets. Bulges obvious. Harlan, the driver grunted. Toothpick rolling. DeLuca sends regards. Tommy boys in deep. O's for protection. You settle. Settle. The scraps? Or blood? How much? Grin wolfish.
All.
And him. Him.
Tommy.
Pawn eternal. I nodded. Feigning.
Shot back.
Wait. Upstairs. Lena packed frantic. Run.
No.
The flame decided. End. We slipped alley. Prius humming silent to the docks. Abandoned warehouse district. Where sound lapped oil slick. Tommy waited. Twitchy under fluorescence. Duffel at feet. Cash? Dope? Jack. Hug awkward. Bones sharp. Knew you'd come. Mob car pulled up. Heavies emerging. Payment. Kid. Tommy glanced.
Sly.
Tell him.
Bro.
The goldsmith. Curse lifted. Lifted? No. Transferred. Heavies drew. But I fired first. Lena's .22 from pocket. Double tap driver. Passenger lunged. But she dropped him clean. Nurse's precision. Tommy gaped. What the? And, I said. Barrel on him. Lena covered. Face stone. He backed. Hands up. Jack.
Please.
We're free. Free? You sold Mom's grave for headlines. Avram's aunt for clicks. Tears.
Hewan?
Regret. Therapy. Man. Vancouver shrinks. Shrinks. Laugh bitter. Like Dad's excuses. Sirens wailed distant. Doc watch? I hesitated. The choice. Pull trigger. By tragic close. Or mercy. Controversial open. Lena's hand on mine. Steady. For her.
Mom.
The flame. I lowered. Go. But if you speak. He bolted. Duffel dropped, cash spilling.
Stained.
We torched it. Flames devouring 20s. Warehouse acrid. Cops came. But we were ghosts Prius-stitched. Bus to Portland. New names. Lena's idea. Hawaii. Big Island coffee farm. Real roots. There. Soil black. Volcanoes rumbling ancient. We planted beans. Not grudges. No candle, sunlight sufficed. News faded. Tommy arrested. Fraud. Dad died in cell. Suicide. Frankie's last? Avram's book dropped. Shadows of Raymogant, me anonymous source. Closure. Happy? Guarded. Lena pregnant. 3 months kick felt. Life uncursed. But nights. Stars wheeling. I wonder. Right despair? Or weakness? Twist sparks. Years on. Son asks of Grandpa. I tell truth, partial. He kept a light. For us. Debate lingers, hero's legacy. Or villain's echo. You decide. The end? Flame eternal. Burning questions.